Okay, go ahead and count down to clap.
Meanwhile, on the comic box.
Bow, 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 da 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 bow, 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 bow. Da 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 ba da ba do do da 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 ba do comics.
The comic box.
The comic box. Hey everyone, welcome to The Comic Box, issue 34. I'm gonna have to find a better place to fit that in there.
Yeah, it works though.
But we're gonna say it though. Welcome to issue 34. There it is. Welcome to issue number 34 of The Comic Box, part of the Geek to Geek podcast network. I am Rob, your friendly neighborhood comic geek. I am joined once again by the lovable Liam O'Rourke.
That's me, the lovable Liam O'Rourke.
That's you. I think I called you lovable last week. Maybe I need to come up with another alliteration. Because illiterate means you can't read. So what is it? But it's still illiterate. It's just spelled
it's with an
differently,
A.
as in alliteration. So, but it's still a word.
Yeah,
another illiterate usage. Yeah. I don't know. What would that be? I mean, just calling you the likable Liam O'Rourke. That's like a demotion.
Yeah, I'd say laughable, but that isn't very complimentary.
You know what? Laughing Liam O'Rourke for this week.
Hey, there you go.
All right. See, that's chuckling, but we'll get you there. Perfect. So this week, we are once again talking Batman, the Telltale Series. We had a wonderful review by Void from the Geek to Geek podcast a couple episodes ago. And then last week, I got a message from him via Twitter while we were recording saying that it was up for less than $17 on Humble Bundle. So I jumped on that. And in his review, he also said you can play episode 1 for free via Steam right now. So I hope you guys went and played with us. Both Liam and I completed the first episode, as they call it, of Batman the Telltale Series. So we are going to give you our thoughts. But first, that's a dog in the background. I'm also dog sitting. But first,
why are you sitting on a dog?
Because they're furry and warm and comfortable.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Weekly Geekery, Liam. What have you been up to this week?
Well, like you, I finished the first season of Voltron, and I have now started the second season.
What do you think so far?
I like it a lot. And honestly, that first season, or that second season, first episode, where they all get scattered around throughout the universe, I really liked Pidge's sub-story about landing in the junkyard and finding all the parts to be able to build the satellite dish out of, and has all those floating little alien creature things that look straight out of an anime. But I loved them. I thought they were super cute, and I really actually hoped that he took them with him. But so far it doesn't seem like he did.
No, I don't believe that they are still around. I'm trying to think if maybe they appear later on, but I'm going to be honest and say I don't remember. So I will not spoil it for you if I think they do or do not. But they do that, I think, a couple times in season 2, and I believe they did it once in season 1, where they do these multi-part episodes where the team splits up, and that allows the writers to dig into those specific characters more than just doing the full team every single episode, where you have to try and find a balance and give everybody their due so they don't feel like they were just a side, the Aquaman, if you will, of that episode.
Yeah, I really like the Karan and Princess sub-story in that episode where they're in the time loop and he just keeps getting younger and younger.
Yeah, there's a lot of very childish humor in that. Like, I'll have it. I was watching it while I was walking on the treadmill that I have at home. I got a walking workstation kind of thing, and so I have to turn the TV up louder so it goes up the stairs and the wife can hear it. And she was just saying that it sounds like an incredibly stupid show because she's hearing some of the jokes that they tell on there, and it is. There's some really juvenile stuff on there, but as an old school Voltron fan, you still can get into some of the mythology. And I have to tell you, the very last line of season 2, you're going to love. It's awesome. Like, It perfectly sets up season 3. So great. It's just they drop a line and it cuts to black, and you're just thinking, oh, I can't swear. Oh, shoot. Oh, snap. You think, oh, snap. at the very end of that.
I think "aw snap" all the time.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's like my go-to mental response to things. I'm truly a child of the 90s.
Because that's Futurama, right? Oh, snap. Also, oh, dip, right? Doesn't Fry say oh, dip every once
He
in a while,
does
too?
say "aw dip." The Futurama-ism that I have really picked up on is the "hey, hey, hey." In the episode where they have the network execubots.
Mm-hmm.
They show up, and one of them is programmed to like things he's seen before. And when he's introduced that way, he goes, "Hey, hey, hey." And that's just very funny to me. So, yeah,
Futurama has had an impact on all of our lives, I
it really
think.
has.
Well, for me, that's when I call the wife, that is what that is from, is from Hermes
Oh,
Conrad
yeah.
and his, where he just goes wife and she goes husband.
Yeah.
That is like, it's weird for like pet names. This is totally off topic and not at all to do with comic books, but pet names are very weird to me. Like, I can't see myself calling my wife dear or honey, but I can see myself calling her wife, so I do.
Yeah.
Hence, the wife. What else have you been up to this week?
Well, I know we've spoken in the past about my, as you describe it, problem with collecting pop figures.
Oh no,
But
you didn't.
I did, Rob. You know I did. But only a couple. Literally a couple. And one of them is the John Wick pop. The movie John Wick that is getting
Yes,
a
I do.
sequel. Yes. Well, they produced a John Wick pop, and they made a Chase variant version where he has blood splatter on him.
Okay.
And I just went to my Barnes and Noble and asked if they had any in stock. They did not, but they had some in their warehouse, and they could ship me one. So I got a discount on it. I got it shipped right to my house. It was all super easy. And when I opened the box, it was actually the Chase variant instead of the normal common one.
So naturally, you were angry and returned it.
Oh, of course. I was like, I didn't ask for this. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that one. I got a little protector case for it, and it's sitting there on my shelf all nicey nice right now. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I have been meaning to rewatch John Wick. I saw it once. I bought it on DVD, and I want to go back and give it a second watch because I know the trailers have been rolling out for the new one, and it comes out in like March, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's coming real quick.
You know, I can actually probably pull it up here. February 10th.
Oh, wow. That's a week away. Yeah.
Go ahead and finish up your weekly geekery, and then I'll throw what I've been doing this week at you.
Well, I have played this game called, it's a Star Wars X-Wing squad builder game, and it's like a tabletop game.
Yeah, I think you were telling me sort of the dog fighting game, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I played a game of that last night as well with my manager buddy Mark, who has a lot of the expansions for it and everything. So he has a bunch of different ships and stuff. So it makes the game very different every time you play it. But it's a lot of fun, and it took 3.5 hours last night, but we played a game, and I did win. I have to admit.
Good
So,
for you.
yeah, it's a wonderful little game though.
Yeah, I think I would have problems with something like that. I taught some friends to play Marvel Munchkin. There were some new Munchkin players, so I taught them how to play Marvel Munchkin the other week, and that also took a very long time. It says it doesn't take long on the box, but the last time we played as well with friends
Yeah,
took longer than we thought it was going to as well. It just kind of depends on the people playing.
yeah.
Anyway, my weekly geekery. I finished Volume 3 of Invincible on the Hoopla app. I am now reading Volume 4 because a new month rolled over, so I'm probably going to keep going. It's a decent comic book. I'm not blown back by it, but it's an easy read. And it's Robert Kirkman, and I kind of like the way that he writes. I can handle his dialogue very well, and nothing he does is terribly complicated. That almost sounds mean, but I can read it like before I go to bed. I can, read a couple issues versus reading, say, Alan Moore, which you kind of have to be paying attention to, if that makes sense.
Hey, Kirkman, get complicated, why don't you?
No, it's good. It's good. I like it. So I'll probably be knocking out several more volumes of that this month. As far as what I am watching, I started watching Season 2 of Scream, the television show on Netflix.
Oh, is that based on the movie series?
Kinda. It's
Oh,
the
is it
same.
one of those
It's the
soft...
same title.
Okay.
It's an MTV show. It is not actually related to the movie outside of the fact that it's full of horror film tropes. Like every episode of season 2, at least, I don't remember season 1, every episode of season 2 is the name of another horror film.
Okay.
And it's, again, a whodunit, who is the killer thing, just like the Scream movies are. So
it has Skeet Ulrich. It was Skeet the whole time.
Every time.
It's always Skeet Ulrich.
It's always Skeet. How? Why wouldn't it be?
He walks into a room, you're like, it was him.
It was.
I don't know what it was, but it was him.
Yeah. And Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. It's something to watch like on a lunch break or while I'm walking. It's still full of stupid teenagers doing stupid things where they're like, I need to get to the bottom of this. I think the killer is here. And so they go alone in the middle of the night with no weapons because they need to get to the bottom of the mystery. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of teen drama because it's an MTV show. Mm-hmm. But I do like some of the cast. I think some of the cast does a really good job.
Any Nev Campbell appearances?
No Nev Campbell, which is a shame. However,
that's just like Hollywood for the last 15 years. No Nev Campbell appearances.
Which is a shame. I like her. She's a good actress.
Yeah, she was fine. I mean,
Yeah. As far as things I'm playing, the only game that I've been playing besides Batman Telltale this past week was Overwatch. I did manage to get around in this morning, actually, with Professor Beej over at the Geek to Geek podcast, as well as Reddit user data_error. I don't know if he wants his real name. He says his real name in the subreddit when everybody's sort of introducing themselves. But, boy, they both blew up. Oh, that's part of the group chat we're a part of. I heard your phone vibrate and mine dinged. We're important.
We're popular.
That's Dr. Ray. That's Dr. Ray talking to us. Anyway, I got to play around with him, which was very cool. And beyond that, my big thing is I signed up for Tol-Con, which is a J.R.R. Tolkien convention that is coming to the Twin Cities here in November. I believe it's the first time they're going to do it. They were supposed to do it last year, and then the hotel they were scheduled to be at was sold and scheduled for demolition.
So they've really Tolkien their time getting this thing organized, haven't they?
That's right. They sort of had to unceremoniously cancel. Sorry. I was going to try and think of something punny, and it didn't come. There were no eagles to magically show up and save the convention. But it is coming up this upcoming November. I think I might volunteer or potentially, and this is no sort of announcement because nothing is confirmed. I'm just talking to people on Facebook. I might either volunteer to moderate or sit on one of their panels, which would be cool. Yeah. I am a Lord of the Rings fan, more so of the movies than the books. I have read the books. I took a college course because I needed a high-end English course, so I took one on Tolkien because why not? I liked the books. I liked the movies, and I don't know if I had ever read the books all the way through at that point in time.
Okay.
And then actually in a couple of weeks, there's sort of this mid-season party thing that they're having on the 19th at a brew pub here in the Twin Cities as well. So I think I might be volunteering for that as well. And I'm sure I'll show up in my Hobbit costume. But for Tol-Con, they're saying that they want to make it more immersive than a normal convention. I'm not sure exactly what that means outside of the fact that your ticket it's for the entire weekend, and it includes a banquet meal. Made
entirely of lembas bread.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Just unleavened lembas that sits heavy in your stomach, but one small bite can feed a full-grown man.
I mean, what's taters?
What's taters, precious? Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. Even you couldn't say no to that. Oh, yes, we could. Sorry, I'm not going to get into it. And then Batman Telltale. That's it. That's Weekly Geekery. That's the stuff we did this week.
Whoop, there it is.
That's it. Let's move on to some news, shall we? Bring us into news, Liam.
News.
There you go. I was going to wait. I was going
to wait to see if you were going to throw in one, and then you didn't. So I was like, I better say it real quick.
Nope. I say we'll just take turns. We'll do the big ones together. We'll do the start and the end of the show.
There we are.
The rest we'll
now we have a format.
Yes. Yes, we do. Let's start with some Marvel Comics news. Marvel has announced that Eddie Brock, the original Venom, is coming back again as Venom. Because why character development?
Yeah. And
why?
he's still angry that Pete just keeps getting all the best picks.
Right? Just, oh man, still angry that he got fired from the newspaper.
Yeah, 30
Just
years
so
ago.
upset. 30 years ago. It's been
And
a while.
the newspaper is still somehow in business.
Yes. Well, there's been several characters that have had the symbiote since, including several, like, Flash Thompson comic books, Agent Venom and what was the other one? Venom Space Knight. And then I thought they did a thing where the symbiote is, like, on its own now or something. But nope, they're going to bring it back to Eddie Brock. Even though the last I heard, he was a separate character called Anti-Venom, had, like, slimmed down and become some sort of good guy that, like, heals people or something. But again, whatever, we're just going to turn it back to Venom because that's what people know. What I wonder is if they're doing this, does that imply that we might see something of Venom in the upcoming Spider-Man movie? Because the comic books always have to realign themselves with what's going on in other media,
That's
specifically
true.
film, not so much television.
And it was the worst
interesting.
of the three original Spider-Man trilogy movies that featured Venom, so maybe they want to give him another crack.
I agree. I mean, obviously that's not in the movie. We know the villain as being the Vulture, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Next piece of Marvel comic book news. If anybody is reading this whole Monsters Unleashed thing, where my understanding is it's just good old-fashioned fun, superheroes fighting giant monsters and nothing else, let them fight. There is, thank you for laughing. There is, okay. There's going to be an ongoing series that follows it as well called Monsters Unleashed. I'm guessing it won't last long. I'm guessing it's like every other ongoing that comes out of an event book. They don't stick around for very long. But if you're out there, if you're a Marvel Comics fan, you're reading Monsters Unleashed, hooray, you have that to look forward to. Isn't that neat?
Isn't it?
The next piece of news I have is actually not on our outline and was sent to me via the Twitters by Professor Beej because it came out today, and I wrote up the outline yesterday, is we now have a cast for the Runaways television show. It is a personal favorite of mine. It was suggested by friend of the show, Dr. Ray, is a big fan of Runaways. And it is now being made into a TV show via Hulu. And our cast is, well, it is written by the OC and Chuck creator, Josh Schwartz, and Stephanie Savage from the OC. And it will star, and I don't know any of these people, so forgive my pronunciation, Renzi Feliz from Team Wolf as Alex Wilder, Lyrica Okano from The Affair as Nico Minoru, which is interesting because I believe we actually see Nico Minoru in the Doctor Strange movie. She was in the prequel comic. She's just never actually mentioned by name, and I find that interesting. We have Virginia Gardner, who is in GOAT, as Carolina Dean, Ariella Bearer from New Girl as Gert Yorks, Greg Sulkin from Faking It and Antisocial as Chase Stein, and Allegra Acosta from Just Add Music as Molly Hernandez. For those that don't know, Runaways is a comic book about just what it sounds like, is some superhero, some super smart, some mutant teenagers who find out that their parents are actually supervillains, if we're to put it simply, and so they decide to run away from home. It is not so much a superhero team book as it is just a book about a group of kids trying to make it on their own in New York City. And they have powers, and their parents are supervillains. And here's what I'm going to do. I had mentioned this to you to let you know there was a piece of news that wasn't in the outline for the show, and you said, what are the Runaways? So here's what I'm proposing. Let's read Volume 1 of Runaways for next week. Let's make that our poll list for next week. How does that sound?
We'll do it.
I certainly have it. You can certainly borrow it from Ray. I think he has several of the volumes. And I'm trying to think if they did multiple volumes of Runaways. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but you'll know because it'll just be the normal Runaways Volume 1. Eventually, I want to say Joss Whedon took a stab at the book and wrote a few issues as well. But originally written by, I'm going to get it wrong if I claim it. Off the top of my head, I want to say it was Brian Michael Bendis, but I don't know if that's correct, and I didn't look that up. And I am probably wrong. Who wrote Why the Last Man? Do you know that off the top of your head? Maybe it was him.
No, that was Ray's thing. I didn't even know that was a property until he dressed as the character.
Oh man, we're gonna have to do that as well. Are you looking it up? Are you typing? I'm hearing keys
Yes.
at work.
Right. Runaways. Brian K. Vaughan?
Brian K. Vaughan. Oh, it was a Brian, the wrong Brian. Brian K. Vaughan, the who was the yes, and now I can actually picture the cover where it has Brian K. Vaughan on it. The creator of Y the Last Man and many other wonderful things out there. He is the current writer of Saga. He is also writing Paper Girls. So if you like Brian K. Vaughan stuff, Runaways. So we are going to read Volume 1 of Runaways by Brian K. Vaughan for next week. You may be able to find it at your local library, or you may be able to find it via the Hoopla app. I think it might be on Hoopla. So if you have a library card, hop on and get that. That is what we're reading for next week. Let's keep going with news here. Marvel movie news. There's a little more news about Black Panther coming out. Apparently they're going to have this massive freeway chase scene, and it's going to be shot in South Korea.
Not North?
Not not North Korea.
You mean they lost that bid?
They did. Pleasant leader Kim Jong-un did not manage to sway them.
You mean President Deity,
Yes.
Godchild Kim Jong-un?
Fearless leader. Yes. Glorious leader. There's a term that they use. I
think glorious leader sounds about right.
Yeah. Also confirmed for Black Panther is the return of Claw. And for those that don't know, I say that a lot on this show, but I'm just going to assume nobody knows this. Andy Serkis's character from Age of Ultron, the guy who was collecting vibranium for Ultron, and then Ultron shows up and cuts his arm off. That is actually a supervillain character from Marvel Comics known as Claw, who replaces his hand with it might even be made out of vibranium. He is a Black Panther villain, and it shoots out like sound waves and stuff. He has a little like satellite dish as for a hand. That is the villain known as Claw. He doesn't have a claw. You'd think he'd have a claw, like say Clamps, who has clamps.
Oh, and he uses them, man.
Use those clamps. Claw does not have a claw. He has a sound wave projector thing. And it also looks like we're going to get Martin Freeman's character from Civil War back, the guy who was sort of the liaison kind of to the Avengers, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I only saw that movie once and wasn't paying 100% attention, so.
Civil War?
Yeah.
Go back. It's on Netflix. It's a great movie, dude.
Sure.
All right. We're going to switch over to DC Comics with the Bop-a-dop-a-doo-dop-and-brow.
And a bop-a-doop-a-doop-a-bow.
I said we were taking turns, Liam.
Well, then you can edit it out, Mr. Editor.
No, too much work. Starting with DC Comics. If you are interested in Wonder Woman stuff and what the DC Rebirth history holds for Wonder Woman, there's a new kind of prequel comic that came out that I had not heard of before that is about the Amazons, and it's written by Kevin Grevioux, the co-writer of the first Underworld movie, the dude that plays Raze in the Underworld films.
Right.
Yeah. So he is writing this thing, and I think it's Odyssey of the Amazons. I did not pick it up, but I might wait. That might be an interesting trade. I don't know that it's going to funnel into Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman run at all. I'm guessing it's just sort of a side thing to have more material out there about Wonder Woman before the movie hits this spring.
If Wonder Woman was dressed in a black leather duster, would you buy it?
You know, I will say this. I didn't mind the leather jacket costume when it came out. Also a run of Wonder Woman written by Greg Rucka, side note, but that had nothing to do with it. I didn't really know him much as a writer at that point. But when they did the New 52... No, it wasn't the New 52. It was before that, wasn't it? Where they did the new Wonder Woman costume where she actually got to wear pants and like a leather jacket with the sleeves rolled up.
Yeah.
I thought that was perfectly fine. Like, I know it was kind of 90s to give her the leather jacket, but at the very least, I wouldn't mind seeing Wonder Woman with shoulder straps, because it is easy to believe that she's wearing armor, like an armor chest piece that is molded to a lady's form. However, it does not make sense for it to be held up by squeezing the air out of her lungs.
Yeah.
You know, so...
It's part of the magic of Themyscira.
Yes, clearly. Clearly. So that at least I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I don't know. If it was the full-on duster, probably not. No. Look, I like the first Underworld movie. Don't Let's just move on, okay? DC TV, I saw a review of Powerless, the pilot for Powerless. That's Alan Tudyk and others, where he plays Bruce Wayne's cousin or whatever.
Dwayne Wayne.
Dwayne Wayne. It was not a great rating. It was on IGN, and it was just rated bad. It was a 4 point something or whatever, where they basically said it was a good cast, but that's it. So the writing, not great. They enjoyed the cast, but it would need a far place to go. And that's kind of what we were talking about of sitcoms maybe not working for superhero stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like, comic books are naturally soap opera-y, especially today, and especially after, you know, the Marvel age, where Stan Lee introduced those personal problems instead of just like Clark Kent winking at the reader at the end of every episode.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sure Superman knows, Lois. Wink. Which I'm fine with, too. Like, I would be
you
okay
mean
with
I
that
just
as a show.
missed Superman? He was just here? Oh.
Darn.
Wink.
It reminds me of that SNL sketch where it was The Rock playing Superman, and you can clearly see the cape horribly tucked in his dress shirt and stuff. And it's just the most obvious thing in the world. I enjoyed that sketch.
Yeah.
Last piece of DC news that I have. Excuse me, I have two. I have two DC movie things. I am not good at reading my own outline. Officially, Ben Affleck is stepping down from directing The Batman, so we will not get an Oscar winning? Did he? I mean, he is an Oscar winner, but did he win for directing? Did he win for Argo? Did he win Best Director for that? In any case, having an Oscar winner directing a comic book movie, especially a Batman movie, not saying it's not going to happen. There's plenty of directors out there who have won Oscars, but Ben Affleck is now not doing it. And I don't know whether this is related or not, but the script that Ben Affleck wrote with Jeff Johns was also apparently just rewritten by Chris Terrio, who is an Oscar-winning screenplay writer for Argo. He wrote the screenplay, won an Oscar for it. So you would think that that's probably fine. Like, I'm sure Ben Affleck was totally cool with him coming on to clean it up kind of thing. But we also have to keep in mind that this man was the co-writer of Batman v Superman with David Goyer. So I don't know if that means that we just say, well, let's assume Ben Affleck brought him in just to rewrite the Batman stuff. Because the Batman stuff was fine. You know, Batman said, 'cause you still haven't seen it yet, have you?
I have not.
Okay, the Batman stuff is fine. Outside of him murdering everybody, like the actual writing for Batman is pretty good. The way he's super serial about everything. The fact that the reason he wants to take out Superman totally makes sense as a Batman thing, of him being like, look, it's just a variable and we don't know and we've seen the destruction he can cause. I have to take this seriously because I'm not a superhuman.
Yeah.
So the Batman stuff is written okay. So I'm going to pretend that that's what's happening. But I have no idea. I'm in the process of listening to the Fat Man on Batman, the Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin podcast, where they are talking about maybe one of the Millers directing it. Tim Miller or George Miller. Tim Miller, the guy who directed Deadpool. George Miller, the guy who did Mad Max. All of the Mad Maxes.
You mean Babe, A Pig in the City?
And Babe, Pig in the City. As people, but I don't know. I don't know that I'm good enough with directors to say who should do it. Are you? Is there someone you would want to see make a Batman movie?
Yeah, I'm not good enough with like a director. I think, Kevin Smith could have a good story, but it wouldn't be a fun visual movie,
Yeah.
He could give you Batman sitting around the Batcave talking blue humor with Alfred and maybe a Robin or two, but I don't think it would be a very good superhero movie. By the way, Ben Affleck did win for Argo 2013.
Thank you.
But yeah, I there's nobody that really pops out at me as seeing like I would love to see them work on a Batman movie or, a superhero movie specifically.
Yeah, I just kind of think like who works well with the shadows? Who
Yeah.
works well with darkness and a dark tone?
How about Christopher Nolan?
How about Christopher Nolan?
He's had some good work.
And that's kind of the thing. No matter what, this Batman movie is going to be held up to The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Just no matter what, because that is sort of the epitome right now. Because even Dark Knight Rises wasn't taken nearly as well as The Dark Knight was.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to see. Last piece of DC movie news, we have reported. I don't like saying we reported. That's why I stumbled on that. I don't feel like I'm reporting anything. I'm relaying. We have said in previous episodes that Ocean Master is supposedly the villain of the Aquaman movie.
Mm-hmm.
But we are getting Black Manta because Black Manta just got cast. Played by, I'm going to decimate this name, Yahya Abdul Mateen II. That actually wasn't bad. Who is in the Get Down, if you've seen the Get Down on Netflix. I have not.
I have not either.
I want to say I've heard good things. I believe I've heard that it's pretty good. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But that makes me happy because I want to see a Black Manta, and I'm especially happy that they're going with the comics on this one because Black Manta is played by a black man. Black Manta is a black man in the comic books, and yeah. I'm happy they're doing that. I guess I could just see them wanting to back off. And they're like, well, we have a white hero, if you will. I mean, it's Jason Momoa, but I'm going off the comic books here, right? So it's sort of a white dude, and so your villain is Ocean Master, who's a white dude, because can you have a white hero and a black villain right now? Like you could in Demolition Man.
Oh, yeah, you can.
You know?
You can have a delicious rat burger and a brew in Demolition Man.
You can run down the street. What was it? I can run down the street naked with my body smeared in green jello.
Something like that, yeah.
Whatever that line is. Just freedom.
You know who said that. We don't even have to say his name, but you already know.
That's right. That's right. But I'm happy for that because I like the idea of Ocean Master in there because then you have that sort of Game of Thrones, who gets to rule Atlantis sort of thing. You know, Ocean Master being the evil brother of Aquaman. But I like having Black Manta in there as well because it's just his own totally villain, cool guy. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with the costume and that giant helmet that Black Manta wears.
Such an iconic helmet. He has nothing else, too. It's like a black bodysuit besides that. So
yeah, and then just this giant helmet. He did get a redesign way back in the day. It's not really way back. In the 90s, I think it was, or 2000s, when they did the Underworld Unleashed storyline where the demon Neron, this is off the top of my head, by the way. This is the comic knowledge you're dealing with your friendly neighborhood comic geek. So in the Underworld Unleashed, the demon Neron, who is one of the different sort of devils in the DC universe, made deals with several of DC's villains to make them more powerful. And Black Manta was one of them, and he actually looked like sort of a human manta ray thing. He also pumped up Ocean Master's powers, but there's a trick to everything because he's a demon from hell. So Ocean Master's thing is he's more powerful, but he has to hold on to his staff at all times. Otherwise, it causes him extreme pain. Obviously, I don't assume we're going to see that in the movie. I don't think that would work out quite as well. But Black Manta was changed back, depowered somehow.
Okay. But Underworld exists within the DC universe?
It's a different Underworld, Liam.
Okay. When you said Underworld, I was like, what?
It was the name of their story, was Underworld Unleashed, where demons from hell came.
Well, you know a lot about Underworld. You can't fault me on that.
Okay, that's fine. No, it is different. And then I'm going to switch over to indie stuff and general comic news. Or, do you want this to be your turn, Liam? Just give me a quick little shibidiboo.
Shibidiboo.
Thanks, Liam.
A sarcastic one.
Image, I'm ignoring you. Image is celebrating its 25th anniversary. Happy birthday, Image.
It can rent a car officially.
Officially, Image can now rent a car.
Yeah, lower insurance premiums,
That's right. That's right.
The last significant birthday until he's over the hill.
Yes, we are happy Image has been around this long. If I remember correctly, almost all of their, if not all of their creations are creator-owned, which is very different, where you come up with a character or a story or a comic and you do not sell the rights to it off to the company. Marvel owns Spider-Man, not Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, for example.
Yeah.
So there's a couple celebrations that are going on around the country. There wasn't anything in Minnesota, but you can look online. I imagine it's just on Image's websites where different comic shops are doing things. The big one that everyone can enjoy is the latest issue of The Walking Dead. Issue 163 costs you a quarter, 25 cents. It's the start of a new arc. It is supposedly new reader friendly. So if you've never bought a comic book, if you are curious what the comic book is like because you're a fan of the show, now's the time to jump. Go find your local comic shop, 25 cents, and you get a full-length issue of The Walking Dead. I guess spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Because they might spoil you for, what's hasn't happened in the show yet. The show is very different from the comic.
Yeah, they'll introduce Daryl in this comic and then immediately kill him.
It's true. Daryl is not in the comic at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Yeah, and they can't do that in the show or people will totally ditch it. But they could do it in the comic book.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. But I suggest everybody go out and do that. Give a quarter to your local comic book store.
A quarter.
A quarter. And then take a look around. Remember, Image sells the first volume of all of its books for just $10, which is about $5 cheaper than compared to normal trade paperbacks. So $10, you get the entire first volume. There are plenty of Image series out there. So go buy your issue of Walking Dead and then look around, see if there's anything else. And then tell us about it. Contact info at the end of the show.
I want to know what you guys pick up. You got to go to different stores, and those take a penny, leave a penny trays, take 1, maybe 2 pennies. Once you get 25 of them, go to the comic shop. Get yourself a comic book.
That's right.
Yeah. They might even have a take a penny dish there. Get a little return on your investment.
Go with 23 cents and pick up your issue of The Walking Dead. Well, there's tax.
Yeah.
Still go with 23 cents.
Dare them not to still sell it to you.
That's right. That's right. Our last piece of news is a sad one. The New York Times will no longer have a bestseller list for hardcover graphic novels, softcover graphic novels, or manga.
I didn't even know that it did.
I know. I don't think a lot of people pay attention. But the point is, you could then be a New York Times best-selling writer, or it can be a New York Times bestseller comic book, and that would be very cool, would it not?
That would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to transfer into the poll list. Like we said, Runaways Volume 1, Brian K. Vaughan. Go and get it. Liam, sir.
Go
into the topic of the week. No, keep going. Keep going. That's perfect. Topic of the week. Our topic this week is Batman the Telltale Series by Telltale. Telltale Games.
It's a series.
It's a series. It's out there. We got it for less than $17. I played through the first episode. Liam, you played through the first
episode as well.
Yeah. This first episode, fun note, was called Realm of Shadows, which was actually the name of my haunted house one year. I used to run a haunted house back in Bloomington, Minnesota, back in my high school days.
Well, expect to be served with a lawsuit by Warner Brothers any day now.
I know. Let's just do straight overview. What did you think? General impressions.
I liked it. It's a Telltale story, so it's a little bit less of a game in that sense, where you're constantly in action of doing something. But it does a good job of telling you a story and giving you the option to kind of make the decisions here or there, how you're going to handle it. I enjoyed it. I did think that the detective scenes where you're actually going around and finding the evidence and linking it together, it was a little bit too clear cut. I would have appreciated a little more challenge to it.
Sure.
But I guess, that's kind of part of what they're doing. They're not really trying to make it that kind of a game.
Right. It's more just giving you a chance to be involved in the story. And also keep in mind, there's only one instance of this in the first episode, and it's the first time you use that mechanic. Yeah. So by video game rules, they usually make that far easier. So I'm curious to see if it'll get more difficult as it goes on.
Yeah.
I personally, I also enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as you did. I feel like I need to play more of it, and part of it might be my computer. My laptop is a gaming laptop, but it is also a couple years old and refurbished. And I was having trouble where every time it would, I guess, change the shot, if you will, it would lock up. So I'd get a pause and then it would jump, or models wouldn't quite load. So I had to turn everything all the way down to low, which meant that when Batman looks at like a handwritten note, I can't actually read what it says because it doesn't load. And then I can't do it full screen either. I had to do it where it wasn't mine, which is fine because I have a big screen on my laptop. It's a monster of a laptop. But so I was running into some of those issues, especially initially. And so that kind of bugged me a little bit. But I did not mind at all the animation style. It's totally Batman meets Archer.
Yeah, very much.
Especially Bruce Wayne.
Especially. And I wanted to tell you, I had a few moments when playing where I don't know exactly what happened, but the graphics didn't quite work all the way. So there'd be like a character in a group of people, like at the party scene,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have completely like black for their face, but they'd still have eyes and a mouth and hair.
So it's just terrifying.
Yes, and I grabbed several screen caps of it. So if you want to put those up on the Twitter or whatever.
Oh, I totally will. I thought of doing that. I didn't. There's a scene where Bruce Wayne, I guess it depends on what you do in the game, and we won't go into spoiler territory there. I will say that through the first episode, all but one of my decisions were made by the majority of people who played the game.
Yeah.
But in one in particular, I have Bruce Wayne meeting up with Commissioner Gordon on like an overpass walkway. And again, the graphics didn't match up, where Bruce Wayne was not only looking in the wrong direction, not at Commissioner Gordon, he was looking over his shoulder at such an angle that his neck would have broken.
Yes, and I have pictures of that also.
Oh, perfect. That happened, same thing?
Yeah, same exact thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There is evidence. Okay. Where I was like, wow, he just really gets into his morning yoga. He can turn his head like an owl.
And he looks so comfortable and casual standing there, but his neck is facing the complete opposite direction.
Yeah,
it was kind of like unnerving.
So there certainly are some glitches and things, but for the most part, I thought it was fine. I think there was just enough action in there to make it enjoyable. I really like sort of the final action scene of this episode where you plan out ahead of time how Batman is going to take down all of the people in the room. And then you just kind of get to watch it happen. That's perfectly fine by me, because we have the Arkham games if we ever want to do a Batman beat 'em up. At this point, I'll say I think I do prefer the beat 'em ups, but this was also fine. I thought everything here was interesting. I didn't mind at all that it was voice actors that I don't necessarily recognize. I thought everybody did a great job with the voice acting. I thought it was a little odd that Harvey Dent was so much bigger than Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
he did seem that like a good couple inches and a good 20, 30 pounds on him.
Yeah, but that's fine. I'll roll with it. I thought everybody in general did a good job, but I have my issues. So before I go into the bad things, is there anything else that's really good that you want to say about Batman the Telltale Series? Episode
Nothing
1.
specific, no.
Okay.
Overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, were you going the good route? There is one point in particular where, well, a couple points where you have an option of how severely you punish criminals.
Oh, yes.
Okay. See, because I could see you going the all-star Batman, and not the current all-star Batman.
Yeah, we're talking Frank Miller all-star Batman, baby.
Yeah.
When I listened to the episode that you and Beej talked, Beej was talking about how he wanted to use Bruce Wayne.
Oh, Void. That was Void. Sorry, that wasn't Beej. That was Void who was on that.
Yeah, not Beej.
Clearing that up.
That was Void, yes.
Yeah.
He was saying that he wanted to use Bruce Wayne, and that, in his opinion, Bruce Wayne is the real character, and that Batman is just a tool.
Right, and this story does kind of set it up that way, though.
Yeah.
Because it is a young Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and you have spent a lot of time in-game so far as Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Yeah. I will say that I played it in a similar way, but I played it in a more, he will use whatever tool he has at his disposal to do the job. So sometimes he will use the Bruce Wayne, other times he will use the Batman.
Right.
And in that case of you have the guy suspended and you're applying pressure to his arm and you can choose whether or not to break it, I totally broke that arm. Yeah. He's never going to hold a gun steady again.
Yeah, and I do like, by making it an early Batman story where Harvey Dent is running for mayor, he's not Two-Face or anything, is it's giving you that chance to sort of decide in this storyline that you control what kind of Batman he's going to be. He already has all the gadgets and stuff, but he's not super developed in that he isn't sure whether he is going to be this soldier in a war or if he's this responsible citizen, I guess. and doesn't mind doing things as Bruce Wayne to get things done, or even prefers doing it that way, and he's more about hope than he is about fear. And so I am curious to see how this game goes going forward. Absolutely. Can I get into the stuff I don't like now?
Oh yeah, totally.
All right, so let me start with this one while we're talking about making these decisions. First, I don't like the fact that I can't save it right before I say these choose a dialogue option, because I would love the ability to go back and see what changes without replaying the whole thing. And on that note, I do not like, and a lot of RPGs do this, and it bothers me. Fallout 4 did this as well, where they have vague dialogue options, where it'll say something like, my family deserves justice, or somebody deserves justice. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That sounds like a thing an upstanding person would say. And you click, my family deserves justice. And then Bruce Wayne is like, they're going to get what's coming to them. I'm going to take him down and spin him around and drop the atomic elbow on him. Ooh.
The cream always rises to the crop. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, that's not what I thought he was going to say. So I don't know if that's... I have to assume that's intentional. Part of the gameplay is they want it to be sort of unpredictable. The problem is, if I am directing the story, I want to know that I am directing the story. Not I am picking a vague option. Otherwise, they should just say option A, B, or C, and you just don't know what that option is going to be. Like, when I have played Fallout 4, I added the mod, which instead of just saying, like, intimidate or something, it would actually give you the entire full text of what your character says. And that is so, for me, more important. Because as a writer and as the story lover that I am, and the film buff and the comic fan that I am, dialogue matters.
You want to know the details.
Yeah, I want to know if it says whatever, at the very least that line should summarize what he's going to say. And really, that is it. Like, I didn't have a lot of problems. That was pretty much it. But that is so integral to this type of game, to the Telltale stories. And so I had some issues with this with the Game of Thrones one as well. Like, if you want to be a jerk to everybody, that's easy to do. You can easily say, oh, this looks like the jerk answer. Yeah. But if you're trying to really get into the story and, in your mind, develop your character, I just wish that it was... I'm totally slowing down now. I'm calming down, coming off of my anger high. Ugh, breathing. I wish that was more clear. So I am still looking forward to playing the rest of the game. I don't think I'm as into it. Like, I played the first episode, and then it was, I was going to be on my computer for maybe another 20 minutes, and it was, do I want to keep going on the next episode? And I just decided to move over to Overwatch instead. I just wanted to go blow some stuff up instead. Like, I do kind of feel I need to be in the mood for this sort of slower storytelling, which is fine. Yeah. It's just, because it's a lot of talking and decision-making and that sort of thing, is I feel I want to be able to sit down and crunch through at least a full episode, which took, I don't know, how long did it take you to do this episode? I did it in 2 parts, so.
Yeah, I started it before my buddy came over and we played the Star Wars game, and then after he left, I had a little more to do. So I'd say it took me maybe a little over an hour, around in that hour, so not a long time.
So it's not too bad. And again, This is free on Steam. You can download the first episode for free. So go give it a shot. Like, it'll take a while to download, but like the gameplay, hour and a half of your time. And it was enjoyable. I thought there was a good enough mix of stuff going on, and it certainly sets things up. Yeah. I will say it doesn't set it up as well as the end of season 2 of Voltron, but that's so unrelated. Like, I just keep thinking, like, when it comes to the cliffhangers, and it even wasn't a cliffhanger. It wasn't like characters were in super, never mind. I keep spoiling it for you. I want to wait and hear what you think when you finish doing it. But that's it. I don't really have anything else on this game. I look forward to continue playing it. I think it's fine. I'll give thoughts. We don't need to make it a topic of the week. I just wanted to come in and say that I also support the playing of this game, though I do have some issues both with the graphics, because I don't know why they don't work well on my computer, and with some of the RPG dialogue options. I don't know. Final thoughts?
I have a couple of problems with it.
Okay.
But mainly it's Cobblepot. the Penguin. I'm kind of
yeah.
on the fence about whether I like this interpretation of that character or not.
It is very different. That is absolutely. I feel like it's got to be closer to Gotham. Must be
Yeah.
where they were going with it, because I've never seen Gotham, but I know the Penguin isn't a short, squat. It's not Meredith Berger in Gotham. It's not. For those that don't remember, that is the man who played the Penguin in the 1966 Adam West Batman. Also played Mick in the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
This has
You
been.
mean Meredith Burgess?
What did I say? Berger?
Berger, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Wow. Burgess Meredith. That's the
Burgess
guy's name.
Meredith. This has been Rob Sucks at Film History.
And we eventually get it right.
Eventually. And Liam corrects me. No, it is a weird version of the Penguin, but
because it's kind of like the Hush character from the comics, where it's like
that's
you
true.
grew up with the character, you were childhood friends, then you had a falling out, or like your families kind of went opposite directions. So it's definitely kind of like at least it's a fresh take on the character. It's not something I've seen before, so I'll give them credit for that. But I don't know whether I really like this idea. I kind of like the Penguin to be the Penguin, just kind of like a fat, ruthless business guy who has lots of underworld handlings and dealings and connections.
It is going to take some time, I think, to develop that character and give us an idea of whether we really like him. But yeah, it kind of feels like it's your buddy from when he was a kid and he was a ne'er-do-well, and now he's going to go and start doing stuff in the underworld of Gotham.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he needed to be a thin, I don't know why he couldn't still come back as a little squat dude. Like, what if Bruce Wayne was just nice to the guy who was shorter and a little heavier?
Yeah.
Why couldn't he just have been Bruce Wayne's pudgy buddy? Though you don't need to always have the childhood connection.
No.
Like, part of the fun, I think, of a lot of Bruce Wayne's or Batman's villains is they don't. Like, they're part of Gotham, but the whole point was that Bruce Wayne sat above it all.
Yeah.
All the private schools and everything else. So you have these other characters that can be like, hey, you weren't there. You were in your ivory tower.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what makes Batman's villains interesting. We could just do a whole episode on Batman's Rogues Gallery, man.
It's true. He's got the best Rogues Gallery of any comic book hero I can think of.
Yeah, but I would want Fletch in on that conversation when that happens. Because he is Batman.
Well, he's also kind of the Riddler.
You think so?
If anybody that I have ever known in my life might actually have a Riddler costume in his closet, it's definitely Fletch.
Okay. All right.
With question mark bow ties that he made himself.
That's fair. I will say I also do have a Riddler costume in my closet. However, see, that's how you never know. However, it is not mine. It is the wife's, and that was from. You were there that year.
I was there that year.
That wasn't the year you were Bender?
No, that was the year I was a middle school art teacher.
That's right. That's right. Yes, that was the year that you were the professor or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So you've seen that costume. So that still exists.
It totally worked.
It did. It was more like the animated series version.
Yeah.
Is really what it was based off of, just a female version of that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, sorry, last thoughts on Batman the Telltale Series before we close it out?
Yeah, I'm likely to pick up the rest of the volumes and finish out the game. I enjoyed it well enough that I'm willing to put down the $17 or whatever to finish out the story.
Yeah, and it's a thing that I'm really coming to terms with, is spending money on a short game, because it's true that I don't necessarily like games that take me 30 to 60 hours to complete, because then I feel I need to beat the game. Like, I get into this mode where it's a task that I need to complete. And so I don't necessarily need another Fallout game right after I beat the last one. And so I have to look at it and be like, I'm not going to spend $10 for a game that's going to take me 2 hours to complete. But why not? That's how much it costs to go see a movie.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to spend $40 on a board game. It's just cardboard and whatever. It's like, okay, but 4 people are going to play it for 3 hours. And if you throw it away or donate it somewhere or give it away, you never play it again. A movie is still $10 per person, and that's only 2 hours of entertainment.
Yeah. And that's not if you saw it at a IMAX or 3D.
That's right.
Or,
That's
know.
right. Plus gas, plus yeah. So
Yeah.
it's trying to get into that mindset of it being okay. I am notoriously frugal. I don't like spending money, but this game I feel is worth $17. If it's still on Humble Bundle for $17, go and take a look. Otherwise, it's $25 right now. I think still on Steam is its normal price.
I believe you're right.
Yeah. Or, I mean, whatever. You add it to your wish list, and they'll shoot you an email when it drops down next time it's on sale.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, that is it for this week, I think. Yes, Liam?
Yes, Liam.
Yes, Liam. Why don't you go ahead and close us out? Send us into our end bit of the show where we bug people for reviews.
Bum, 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 bwah. Bum, 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 bwah. Bum, 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 bwah.
All right. And that is it for the comic box. We are going to close the comic box for this week. Thank you again for coming, Liam.
Thank you for having me as always, Rob.
And as always, you can find Liam on Facebook. I will provide a link in the show notes so you know exactly which Liam he is. You can find us, this show, on Twitter. We have a new Twitter handle. It used to be at Rob's Comic Box. I have changed it since it's not just mine anymore, since Liam is here.
Say what?
Yeah. So we are hey.
Hey.
So we are now on Twitter at ComicBoxCast. I was playing around with that a bit. The wife also suggested _comic box, but I don't know if it's too confusing for there to be the underscore. But
Yeah.
Let me know. There's not a ton of people that are there on Twitter, but come follow us. Follow us on Twitter. You'll get updates every time we post a show. And then I'll usually, if I see sales or comic-related news on Twitter, I will usually retweet that as well. So you can make me a secondary, maybe a third, one of your sources for comic book news. You can also follow me on Twitter at Noby. That's at KNOWBY. That is my personal Twitter, so beware. There's probably some political stuff and so on and so forth there. Send us an email. You got things you got to get off your chest and you need to yell at us. That's thecomicboxpodcast@gmail.com.
One addendum.
Yeah.
No manifestos.
No, okay. 0 manifestos, but you can. Diatribes are allowed.
Get what you need off your chest, just not in a manifesto form.
That's correct. No manifestos. And the best way to talk to everybody in the Geek to Geek podcast network is to head over to our subreddit, which is /r or /r, right? It's a /, Liam?
It is.
Okay. So /r /geek2geekcast. And how is that spelled, Sir Liam?
That is GeekTogeekcast.
So do not use the number 2. It is Geek2Geek with a TO on there. And you can come talk to us. We are having a couple of discussions on there right now that I think you guys would find very, very interesting. This show that you are listening to right now, if you're listening to it, it means it's probably on the subreddit as well. So you can comment, tell us what you think about Batman the Telltale Series. Tell us what you think about the Runaways series cast. And next week, we will be back to talk Runaways. Finally, I need to beg everybody, iTunes ratings and reviews. It is the best way. If you like this show, tweet about it. Let people know. Send them to our Twitter so they know that we are around. And give us a star rating and a review on iTunes. It is more helpful than you could possibly imagine because there are a lot of comic book podcasts out there, but none of them have Laughing Liam O'Rourke as part of their regular offerings.
Very true. The one and only, right here.
The one and only. So please do us that favor. Please help us out. And this is part of the Geek to Geek Podcast Network. You can head to geektogeekcast.net to find out more about all of our shows. That's it. We will see you guys next week. Liam, go!
Go!
The comic box.
Comic box.
Yeah, should we end every bow bow?
Oh yeah.